Mark, what's going on, man?
Sean, what's going on, bro?
Dude, you're looking crispy today. What do you got? A hot
Thank you,
date?
thank you. High fade, high temp fade. I'm on my Will Smith tip right now.
Oh yeah,
You know,
man. You knew you had a video call today. You looking
I
good.
did, I did.
I'm seeing the earring pop too.
Yeah, you see the sparkle?
Oh man.
Let's keep it Siconians. It won't sparkle.
Dude, it's good to catch up. So for those that don't know, me and Mark played college football or high school football together. And Mark went on to play college ball, and we stayed pretty close. Actually, I was back in Maryland, and Mark was one of the first people to hit me up and hang out, and I loved it because we got it in early at the gym. It was like 5:30 in the morning on a Saturday. We were getting it in, so I appreciate that. That's a real one, Mark.
Oh yeah. Hey, it's a must. Why not? Why not?
And we came out in like shorts and long sleeves because it was end of February in Maryland, thinking spring's coming around. It was cold that morning, dude.
Hey, we got it in though. We
Yeah,
got it in.
that was good. That was good. Well, so man, what's going on? I mean, we talked a little bit then, but what's going on in your world?
Yeah, let me just touch on, since you brought up like the football, right?
Yeah.
Because this is a big part that not a lot of people know. You know how like after post high school, people's like kind of journey kind of fades, or it kind of
Yeah.
goes away, and you don't really keep up with people. So for my high school experience, college experience for football, I went to school in Shepherd University, as you know, which is like a top D2 program. And I
Hey, for
came
those
in
that don't know, Mark was the man in high school. It was like,
oh yeah. High school stuff,
not dude.
high school was that.
Mark, the only thing I didn't like about you is that we didn't even need to throw the football. I was a receiver. We didn't even need to throw the football because you just give Mark the ball, 300 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's easy work.
Oh yeah. Wow. So let me just switch gears completely now. You just gave me, as we go, I just think of stuff, and it made me think about growing up, right? And growing up, the only thing that ever used to be on my mind was sports. Like, what could I do with my body?
Yeah.
And I think for the most part, I developed that because I would kind of bounce around the schools a lot. So, the first thing that you do at recess in PE class, it's like, all right, I want him on my team, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of always put me in that loop of like a friend set, and I kind of gravitated towards sports more and more, just because I was naturally good at it. But I liked the company that it brought too, right?
Yeah.
It was a lot of people that were like all super supportive, would just like, treat you well. Sports brings a whole different side. If you're somewhat decent in sports, the people that come along with it, you kind of see like different sides of people, right? Like all the time.
I'm
So
I'm glad you brought that up because, like, I mean, I know I've already said it, but you were a baller, right? And like, I think a lot of people like don't realize like what you're saying. Like, yeah, I think I kind of know where you're going, right? Like, you got some things because of everything that you did and all the work you put on the football field. Some other things are kind of like maybe handed to you, or people treated you different, right?
yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. It was just, I didn't know if people, you know, mess with me because of like my talent, or just like the type of, character person that I was, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you're young, right, you kind of blend all those things together. You're just like, oh, people like me. And you
Yeah.
kind of really don't split, all right, why do they like me? Like, you're really not conscious of those things in grade school. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're just
Not at
not.
all.
So yeah, so it was like super it was difficult at first because I couldn't really tell, but then after a while I didn't care, to even like dig out those emotions of why people like me, why people don't, like all this stuff. But like what I learned through like just playing sports in high school, more specifically football, was that that's the only thing that I ever had on my mind, right?
Mhm.
If someone were to ask me what did I want to do when I was younger, of course, football player. I want to be a professional football player.
Yeah.
And
Of course.
I kind of
Automatic.
automatic. It was automatic, like football, like all day. I think at one point I was saying like a race car driver or something like that. Back when Jeff Gordon was like killing it. But yeah, so it was football. So like that thing was my identity. It was my persona. Like it was like all these things. And I could never really separate my other aspirations from like the game itself. So I
Mm,
was really one-minded, you know what I mean? Like very narrow. It's football. I have no other plan, no 1A, no 1B, no 1C, like nothing
yeah,
like that, right?
yeah.
It was just football to
And what kind of what spoiler alert, right? You're not Barry Sanders right now. So what like I'm interested in learning because I do know a little bit about like your path, but when did that kind of like change? So like you mentioned you went on, you played ball at Shepherd. Yeah, tell me about like, not really just like what happened there, but like what was kind of going through your mind.
so Shepherd. So leading up to Shepherd, right? Um Already I was kind of, a little bit, what's the word for it? I thought that I should be somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Going into Shepherd, I was like, I had these many numbers. I remember at one point I pulled up Adrian Peterson's like senior stats and I like doubled them, right? Like my stats were better than his, right? It was just
Yeah.
all based upon where you were. So I remember going into Shepherd, I was already had like that feeling of not wanting to be there.
Mm,
So kind of like a self sabotaging like feeling, right?
yeah.
I was like, why am I here? I wasn't even
And
grateful.
And whether it's negative or positive, bro, like this is just my belief. Like you will bring that on yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're looking for the negative, you will bring negative in. And same thing
Yeah,
with positive. That's why it's all about mindsets.
yeah, bro. That's 100% because I remember like going into Shepherd, I was just like, man, I should be at someone D1, some D1 AA at least, right? So going into Shepherd, I still had like that mentality of a high school, live for the weekend, and that's it, right? But I didn't
Yeah.
understand what I was getting myself into as far as, all right, this is a job with football now, and then you have more more courses on top of that that are super, require attention to detail,
Yeah.
right? So when I got to Shepherd, I got redshirted, of course, right? I got redshirted.
Yeah.
There were a couple more backs in front of me. Um, I'm just gonna say this now. I was better. I was better than the three backs that were in front of me. Of course, they had to build a bit more because I was coming in as a
Yeah. You're
freshman.
young.
So yeah, I wasn't quite there, but like mentally, I knew I had them. And physically and my ability, I was like, oh yeah, this is in the bag.
Yeah.
But during that stage, I've never sat out on the sideline, right? I couldn't even travel to the away games because I wasn't a part of the travel team because I was
Yeah.
still redshirted.
I see it in your face, bro. You didn't like that.
No, no, dog. Like when I got there, and this is dude named Billy Brown. I think you
Yeah.
remember him from
Yeah.
G-Bird, and he was my roommate and ended up playing for like the Eagles and I think the Colts, right? For like for a little bit of time. But he was like, oh, like we already know like what it is. Like we're from Mocha, already like they just haven't seen you yet out there.
Yeah.
So I remember there was this one like spring game, and I was like, all right, because the whole time, mind you, Sean, right? The whole time I'm there, I'm just like not going like 100%. I'm just not because like again, I'm trying to like sabotage myself
Yeah.
to the point that where I get kicked off the team, right? Like subconsciously, I'm thinking this, but I'm still doing my day to day things. You would
Bro,
never think I was
I
thinking
gotta
that.
pause. I gotta pause you there because so kind of talking about like things that like I've learned like recently. I read this book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. I recently read it, so it's like on my mind. And one of the things it talks about, Mark, is like doing some inward work, right? Like really reflecting on yourself and what type of like limiting beliefs you had, like you said, being like self-sabotaging.
Hmm.
um, I recently was like working with a big client at my marketing company, and I liked it. It was a wellness company. It aligned with happiness and like exactly what I enjoy, but it took up a lot of time. And I remember thinking over and over about them, canceling the contract. And I was with them for 3 years. Like and we were doing great. There was no reason for them to cancel the contract. I was
Mhm.
thinking about that. I literally dreamt about, wow, if I didn't have this client, like I would have all this free time, right? But, I wouldn't be with the client. I wouldn't be making that same impact, wouldn't be making the same money. Bro, and
Mhm.
some fluke thing happened and they just canceled the contract a few weeks ago. I literally brought that like into the world, dude. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it was crazy. So, like, I see what you're saying, and it does happen subconsciously. So we gotta like mentally, like people need to figure out how to understand what's going on subconsciously. Like, you probably in the moment didn't say like I'm gonna self-sabotage myself, but like now, like reflecting back, you are right.
Right. Right.
Um, I find, I find that getting quiet, right?
Mhm.
Traditionally it could be meditating. I like to do it just running, no music. I don't even have a loop. I just go running as long as I want and I come back. Like to me, that's a quiet time. But yeah, so sorry, that was just like,
No,
I
no,
appreciate you sharing that.
that's exactly because once you take a step back and you have some more time after a certain um instance happen, a scenario,
Mhm.
situation, whatever it is, you get to really reflect on it. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what I was doing. So comes the spring game, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna turn it on, right? I'm gonna let everybody see what I actually could do. Spring game comes and I kill it. I kill it.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, did you see yourself? Like, what? What? Like, everyone knew I could ball because of course you're there, you could ball. You play anything post high school. But they've never seen me like that before. So I just remember that feeling and it kind of threw me back to high school. Like, this is the feeling that I want, but I don't want it here. Right. I didn't
Yeah.
want it there in West Virginia. I wanted it somewhere else at a D1 program. And I didn't really feel like the magnitude of, the scenario I was in, like my position, like, you know what I mean? Like I'm in college, right? Like I should have thought like, forget football. Like I'm in college. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
this is an accomplishment, it's a milestone. So, you know, so from that day on, I kept doing other little stuff that, going to parties, just not really focusing on school. And then went home a few times and then that kind of derailed me. And I was just like, man, I'd rather be here than back there. And every time
Yeah.
I went back to school, I would get depressed because I'm like, I feel like I have no place here because I'm not making myself fit into a place. So
Yeah.
I ended up leaving. The first time I ever quitted anything in my life, right, was when I quit the football program at Shepherd. I literally, it was on my mind for a week, right? Like, should I do this? Should I not do this? And mind you, this is like a year in. This is after a year.
Mhm.
So I'm like, all right, I'm going to talk to the coach. I've never like it didn't even feel like me doing it, but I just knew I had to because I wasn't like in that mental capacity to even function, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember literally,
That's gotta be tough.
I remember waking up. Um, actually, no, I wasn't even up. I remember my roommate Billy. He was getting ready to go to class, and I'm still in bed. And of course, when you're roommates, you kind of know each other's schedule.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Yo, like, aren't you about to go to class? Aren't you in like, don't you
Yeah.
have like econ, whatever it was?" I'm like, bro, I'm about to quit. I'm about to leave school today. I'm about to go over to Coach Cater, was his name, head coach, Coach Cater. I'm about to go over to Coach Cater and tell him I'm done. So he was trying to talk me out of it, right? For like a good 10 minutes. I'm like, look, Billy, like, I appreciate it, bro.
I've
Like, I
been
love you
thinking
as a
about this.
roommate, but I've been contemplating about this for a week now. Like, I know this is the right decision for me. So I remember walking over to Coach Cater's office, and it's probably about maybe like a mile away from my dorm. So I walk over there and I sit down with him. And then, first of all, you know how you build it up with the text messages? Hey, coach, I got to talk to you about something, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
already he was probably like, oh, fuck is this kid about to, like what's
Yeah.
going on? So when I get there, the tension was already there, right? So I get in the room. He closes the door. So he's like, yeah, what's up, man? What's going on? I'm just like, coach, I don't know, any other way to say this, but I don't feel I like the over the last few months, I haven't been feeling myself. And I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna check myself out from the game and from the school, you know. And of course, he's like stunned, stunned,
Yeah.
because I really got to see how he really, you know, how coaches kind of keep things underneath the surface.
They
Oh,
got
I'm not gonna
to.
tell you this kid is good each day, right?
No, no.
In that
I
moment,
maybe now in 2022 they might, but not.
I know, right? Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he's a 5-star. But yeah, so in that moment, I saw his I saw him being human more so than being a coach,
And his
right?
appreciation for you. You probably felt loved. You're like damn, like he or like needed
Yeah,
on the team. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. He said like he was like, hmm. He was like, are you like are you sure? Like we plan on using you in our offense. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna be that guy, right? Like stuff that you want to hear if you're on a team. Oh,
And
I'm gonna be the
what was
dude,
your
right?
reaction? Like when you heard that, did you start wavering on your decision, or was it easy? I mean, it was just, I mean, not easy, but was it just like, nah, I'm done. But
Sean, to be honest, it was like one of those things where I was just like, I hope he just like finishes up soon,
you were
right?
yeah, you were set. You like, no, you got to do that. Like, you got to just pick times.
Yeah,
Like, I came in here, like, I'm gonna shut it off. You know, I talk about that. You know, I talk about that with some of my friends that like I run with, like, you know, Jason and Matt. And you know, when you're like running, especially like some of those ultra marathons, like the one we did in
yeah,
Virginia, you know,
right, right.
you can't negotiate with yourself. You can't. Like you enter the race, you enter the situation, the meeting with an agenda. And like if you're confident and it's well thought out, Mark, you know, you got to just stay strong in there. I mean, of course you got to listen to them, you know, but you don't want to be, you know, I respect you staying strong and sharing this story. So like,
Yeah.
would you tell me a little bit about what you like learned from that, from like that whole experience? I mean, related to like your own happiness, because you said you weren't like yourself, you know.
Um, wow. The biggest thing I learned from that that situation was once you quit one thing, you'll quit everything, right? And I saw myself getting in a pattern of just being like, oh, I've had this feeling before. It's easier to just be like, nah, I'm good, right?
Yeah.
You
Damn.
know, not keep that job, right? Not keep a good relationship with the friend, right?
Good. It's an easy
So
way out.
yeah, it was just so easy because I got to that wall of, you know, mustering up all that courage to like go over to my coach and be vulnerable. And then once I had that feeling, I was like, oh, it's not so bad. It actually like, okay, I'm scot free.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would just for like a year after that, I would just, I don't know, I'm kind of bored of that. Like, let me
Yeah.
not continue with this or continue with this relationship, continue with this friendship. So that was probably the biggest thing that I learned. Just once you quit one thing, it's so much easier to quit everything else and you kind of form a pattern.
And and I'll tell you, Mark, like, so, you know, like, this is my, all right, so I'll give you my perspective of this time, because I mean, you know, we've been pretty close the whole time, but we definitely went at least a couple like years, I think, with like barely talking, maybe texting, like bump into each other,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I
Probably
mean,
like
so
three
it
or
was
four
like,
years.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was like, you know, middle school, high school. Mark's the homie, right? Mark's a
yeah,
ball player. He's a homie. We're chilling inside school, football practice, outside, whatever. Then we went to college, and I was like, cool, Mark's balling, right? And then with no context, I hear like, yo, Mark just quit, right? He's not balling anymore. I'm just like, damn, like, I hope he's all right. Like, my thought is like, where's he going to ball now? Like, oh, he quit because he's going to, you know,
yeah.
because he's going to play here. And then like, dude, like, I remember it was like a day before Thanksgiving, like, I don't know, sophomore year, junior year, college, or whatever. You know, everyone goes out and we like ran into each other. And like, I mean, this is like kind of where we were both in our like, like, you know, lives and relationships. Like, you know, when do we hang out? Naturally, you know, partying, you know, all fucked up, right?
Right,
And like,
right.
that's not not saying you were always doing that. I was always doing that, but it's like, that's when we hang out. And then I mean, fast forward, like I hear like how, and you could share a little about this, how you like
Mhm.
built yourself, like you built so much upon, that like decision. I mean, think about the last 10 times we've hung out, Mark. It's been running an ultra marathon. It's been training at 6 in the morning. It's been you calling me about a business idea, me calling you about a business idea, you
Mhm.
coming to mom's house and bringing her flowers. Like, what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's just like, so like clearly whatever the path is, however it felt, you know, like there's a good thing going on there. Do you feel like at any point like there was like, I don't know, like like
A
looking
shift,
back, yeah,
like a
I,
shift.
I don't even I don't even want to say a shift because that that kind of means like there was like a dip, because that dude, you quitting football doesn't mean it's a dip. That just means it wasn't right for you. But like, was quitting football like the milestone moment, or like after football, like do you feel like life started going up from there, or do you feel like it dipped or plateaued and then there was like some moment?
Well, man, just looking at like the big picture of like the scenario of me leaving football, like walking away and stuff like that. It was kind of more it was kind of more me just kind of like taking that time for myself to step
Yeah.
back and like do a self evaluation, because I
Mm,
realized in that moment too. You asked me like, what did I learn about myself from me quitting? Another thing I learned was that the whole time, going back to that story I told you about being in like elementary school, middle school, high
yeah.
school, going back to it is I learned that I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it for like everyone else. And when I
Yeah.
didn't get like that D1 stature of fans, crowd, and don't get me wrong, Shepherd had a solid crowd, right? A
Yeah.
solid crowd. But I wanted bigger. Like
No, I feel
what's you know what I
you,
mean?
you were doing it for like external stuff, and you're talking about like you were able to get quiet and start figuring out what made you happy.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so I kind of had like a lot more self-reflection. And I've always been, I consider myself like a floater, right? Like
Hmm.
socially,
Yeah.
because I've been in so many different environments, situations around different people that I know how to like, mingle,
Yeah.
right? So with that being said, like I was a loner. Like I just stepped away from everything. And I
Mm.
kind of really did some self-reflection on
You
like
spent some
what do
time
I
get you spent some quiet time.
quiet time. And I was like, who am I really outside of football, right? Like I feel like
Yeah.
that's cliche, like a cliche saying, but it's so true. Like who am I outside of this?
Yeah.
And
Dude, it's not cliche. It's that people have said it a lot, but you're talking about things, so I'll tell you, I just went through something recent like that. So I talked about like work, right? In the last month, my workload, my like the number of meetings and emails I got, that's what I mean by workload, has cut in half, right? I realized, Mark, I started feeling like I was like addicted to work. Like having emails to respond to and having meetings jump on made me feel like I'm important, like people need to talk. Like, and I didn't show it. I didn't consciously like arrogantly
Mhm.
think like, oh yeah, I'm on a bunch of meetings, I'm important. But I realized like, dude, like the first day I like opened my calendar and like, I had like a small checklist of things. I did that. And then I had no meetings, no emails. It's like, okay, you know, I started feeling like a little down, to be honest. I was kind of like, do I have nothing to do today? When it's the opposite, dude. I can do anything. I can grow my business. I can go work out. I can write a fucking book, like whatever I want to do. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so no, I love that you said that. And then I mean, dude, and then I mean, just to fast forward a little bit, you found the army. And
Yeah. So
that's been some discipline.
that was like a commitment to myself, right? Because right after like that, not even a storm, right after that, like I call it a self-development period, right? A self-reflection period. Right after, and that probably lasted like a year, maybe
Mhm.
year and a half, right? I was like, all right, what can I do that will force me in an environment? Because I told you I started that trend of just quitting stuff, right?
Yeah.
I was like, what can I do that forces me in an environment to where I'm committed, but at the same time, there's an act of selflessness, a selfless service, right? And at the same time, like, I'm around others that may be in the same situation because everyone in the army isn't like what they call high speed, right?
Hmm.
Everyone isn't squared away. Everyone has stuff. Everyone. You can go from special forces, an army ranger, like whatever it is. Everyone has something, right? And no one's polished. So I was like, I'll be around other people that from all different walks of life, and I'll be able to, congregate with them and, figure out myself more as well as like learn other people's backgrounds,
Hmm.
right? So I joined it for those two reasons, like specifically, right? The selflessness, the selfless service,
That's awesome.
and just some more of uh self-reflection, right?
Hmm.
But now I was reflecting with a group of other people. So I was congregating, but like knowing other people's backgrounds as well.
Got it. So the selfless service, that's got to come out of honestly, like starting to realize like what really makes you happy, right? What makes you happy isn't, just like flexing on a football field. It's like, giving service to people. And then the self-reflection, you're talking about like it sounds like you talked about people from walks of life. So it's like kind of like seeing where you are compared to a bunch of random, people from random backgrounds, right?
Yeah, there was people from everywhere. There was people from
Mhm.
Idaho,
Yeah.
Arkansas, like
Aren't you from Idaho? No.
Idaho. Nah, you.
Chill. Oh
no,
man.
no, no,
Um,
no. But yeah, it was just great. Like there was people that were sharing all types of stuff about like what they did back home, in our little bonding time or whatever. Like common courtesies, like what they ate, everything. It was like a experience that once in a lifetime, right? And now,
yeah.
just like everything else, it feels like a blimp in a memory, but you still use it for your tool bag. So yeah, I mean, I definitely joined to get more for myself. Like, what can I dig out of myself? Like, am I really like I wanted to build back up my endurance, right? Not only physically,
Yeah.
because I was running still, right? Because that's why I used to
Yeah.
cope with the depression because
But
I was
even,
depressed.
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You were saying you were running to cope with like,
Yeah, I was running when I came back home. I was like, you know what? I remember I went back to my mom's house and I was sleeping all the time, right? And she was like, my mom's a school nurse. So she was like, are you in your mom's intuition, right? She was like, are you depressed? Like,
yeah,
you know what I
just
mean? Are you okay? And me, my natural defense mechanism, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good, mom. I'm good. I'm good. And I was like, I'm not really, right?
yeah.
So I finally told her, I was like, yes, I'm not myself. And then I just remember I was like, I need to use my body. I need to do something. So I just went out and ran for no time, no mileage. And that's the way I still am. I don't
That's the
run for
best, bro.
I don't run for mileage. Like I'm just not one of those people that like track stuff because I just do it. And that's
So
all good. Like tracking is good because it builds you to whatever goal you want to hit in your
it,
physical fitness. But
it is good. It is good. But so I'm the same way. Almost all my runs, um, I don't like to track things. Now, what the value I see in tracking things is like this. So you're talking about you're running for your mental state, and you started to say that you're building up your physical endurance, but also your mental endurance. Like things don't need to be the best in this moment for me to be happy, right? Like and that's like what running is, right? I mean, you get
yeah.
tired, you get cold, whatever. What I find about the one thing I like about tracking things, what I try to do is like maybe run a half marathon once a month and just
Mhm.
like check the time mark. And the reason is because I like to be able to say cool. I've clearly increased my like mental strength. I've clearly shown my discipline to running, and taking it seriously because my times are getting better. I'm not doing it like I don't care about having a faster half marathon time than you or whoever. You know what I'm saying? But I do want to go back to something. I appreciate you sharing that story. I really didn't know that you were, down bad after, football like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
And
I was depressed. It was the first time I've ever felt that at like that magnitude. I didn't want to do anything. It was
yeah,
crazy.
and but you brought it back something you're good at, and you feel, and also like naturally, right? The body's super natural, right? That's what it's like, you got to feed the body, and like the body's gonna, help everything there. So running, getting active was like, that was a big aspect of kind of, getting
Yeah.
your mind right.
Yeah, because it made me feel like I was back on the football field, right? Like that comfort zone. Because I would change up things in my run. I'll sprint, I'll dodge trees, you know what I mean, during my
Yeah,
jog, whatever it was. So
same
I'll
shit.
still be
Yeah,
active. And then at the end of the run, I'm like, man, I got that feeling like after a game and you're like exhausted, but at the same time, it's so gratifying because
yeah.
all we did was win, right? So it was like we won, right? So it was a little bit of it was everything. And then when you really dig, when you really push yourself, it was like not listening to your body, but listening to your mind, and your mind could tell you you can go so much more. Like you got so
Yeah.
much more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. That dude, that's a cool story. I hope that inspires people. Like, like sometimes it just takes, and I know I know it sounds much easier than it is if you're in that state, but like getting up and doing something, and just sticking with it, and really sticking with anything. I mean, even if it's drawing, writing, talking to a friend, you know what I'm saying? Like, stick with something and start, if you are, in that situation. I think that's important. And obviously going to seek help. And was it did you ever outwardly say that to your mom or like your friends or like anyone?
Man, like
Because I'll just tell you right now, I don't know if I would have the strength to.
no, you know what? Like me, I internalize a lot of things anyway, right? Naturally. So when something is as heightened as that, of course I'm like not gonna say anything as far as like how I'm feeling,
Hmm.
what actually happened, like stuff like that, right? But my mom had the sense, so eventually we talked about it,
Yeah,
and we kind of, your mom's your mom, your family is always there, so of course she was
yeah,
very supportive.
and that's awesome.
um but then she also gave me like that push, like, every day is a new day.
Yeah,
And she said one thing to me, Sean, I still use this to this day, because I haven't heard it or seen it on any like quote or anything that you see online, social media. And she was like, if you keep taking steps forward, you'll walk into something, right? When she
yeah,
said that, I was just like, man, like that's some jewels.
that's
Because
some
no matter
jewel.
what, no matter what, if you keep
Yeah,
taking, it's true. If you keep taking steps forward, like right now, I'm looking at this banister to the steps. If I keep taking steps to there, I'm gonna walk into it,
yeah,
right? It may
something.
not be good, right? It may
No,
not
and
be
then I
good,
mean, bounce off another direction. Just keep
right?
walking. Like,
Right. It's like the Roomba. I don't know if like everyone's familiar with the the Roomba high tech,
yeah,
right? The little self vacuum robot. Like it'll bump, it'll bump, it'll bump, it'll bump, but then it'll always find its way back home,
yeah.
right?
That's
After the
so.
mission's complete. So that's what I.
There's your army talk.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Dude, it's
right, right.
it's funny. I've never heard that. Something similar. Mick Jagger, he's the singer for the Rolling Stones. My mom has this quote
Yeah,
right above her desk that says, "I keep moving forward because otherwise I'm scared I'll get lost." And it's kind of similar. You know what I mean? Along those lines of just, you know, and forward. Forward's just whatever you think forward is at the moment. Like, it doesn't need to be. I think people stack things on their shoulders, like, big goals that they need to achieve right now, and pressure. It's about taking steps. Mark, I want to fast forward, right? So, you went through the army, all that. You're still in the army. When we hit the gym, it was so I called you Friday. I was like, yo, Mark, I'm in town, not that long, let's get in the gym tomorrow. You're like, cool, 11. I was like, dude, I'm going around, I got to hit it early. And you're like, all right, like, let's go like 7 or something. And then I was like, we gotta go early. We're like 5:30. And you're like, cool. you woke up in the morning and I don't know if you remember, you text me, you're like, we're going back and forth about like, you're like, maybe we just hit it tomorrow. And
Yeah.
then I was like, I'm up, I'm gonna go hit the gym. And you said, fuck it, I'll see you in 10, because you live right by my pop's house. When we got in the gym, you said something. I've heard Emma say it. I've heard a couple people say it, but like saying it is different than like understanding it. You said, I have a big day. It's a Saturday. Mark trains kids to play ball, like skill train for football. It was Saturday. I know you had to go do work for the army. I know you also probably doing, chores. It's the weekend, right? You got shit to do. Mark was
Yeah.
like, before I'm giving out energy to anyone else today, I got to take care of myself. And I
Ooh.
mean, it wasn't the longest workout, but we were 45 minutes and we hit it hard, dude. And,
Yeah.
I don't know, like if there's anything that sparks in you, about like self-care, right? Like you're relating it to your story about like figuring out that you had to run, to get your mind right. Like that, I don't know, that hit it for me, right? And it's
Mhm.
not a selfish thing at all. It's just you got to take care of yourself. If yourself first, if you want to take care of other people or do anything like external, you got to be right.
Yeah. Yeah. To add to that, it made me think of this. I don't know. I'm just gonna say it because I don't know why what you said just made me,
Yeah.
thought provoke this. But look, like I'm not the biggest, not the fastest, not the smartest. Um, I'm not any of those things, right? All I am is me. And I live with what I do. I live and stand on my principles, my morals, and everything else, right? So when I set certain things for myself, I have to live up to it. I have to own up to it, right? Like I can't just like back down on it. And of course, we're all human, so we all get
Yeah.
that same type of like that same type of energy that I don't really feel like doing this today, right?
Yeah.
And that happens. But at the end of the day, it's always about, what you do the most of, right? Because we all have those little chinks in our armor that gets us from time to time. No one's perfect, but it's like what you do the most of. And I made a commitment to myself. And this wasn't always my motto. It was probably about like 2 years ago. I said to myself, I'm not gonna give my time of the day in the morning, like when I first wake up, to anything, to anyone or anything else but myself. Whether it be 10 minutes of meditation, whether
Love
it be
it.
10 minutes of yoga, 30 minutes of running, like whatever it
Dude,
is,
don't
I'm gonna
give it
do
to
that.
your cell phone, dude.
Right, right,
Dude,
right. Like, look, Sean, I was like, look, I'm not gonna do anything for anyone else until I get mine in, right? I'm gonna be selfish in this time.
you
And
got
like
it.
ever since then, it makes me feel better about my day. Cause if you think about what we go through throughout the day, either we work for someone, we're clocking in, or your salary, like whatever the case is, or a family member needs you,
Mhm.
your friend needs you, like whatever it is.
Once the day starts, all bets are off.
Yeah, once the day starts, it's gonna go in whichever way that it goes, right? So that's why I'm like, I can control in this environment, in this space that I'm in right now, I can control everything that I do. And when you reached out to me and said, I'm still gonna go, I did another self-reflection because it kind of made me get like that accountability back. It was just like, nah, like what? Like this
Yeah.
today's all we got. Like, what do you mean? Like, what am I like? What do I mean tomorrow? Or
Yeah,
like, what do I
yeah.
mean next week? Like, what
Catch
do I mean?
yourself. Bro,
Right? Do I
I
think I'm
do it.
that?
We all do it. It's
Yeah. It's
dude,
like that's a little bit of entitlement to you thinking that you're like we're still gonna be here, right? Of
yeah,
course,
yeah.
we would like to be here. We'd love to be here, but life goes in whichever direction it goes, right? Or it's something, not even something has to happen to you, something can happen to something else that affects you, and you
Yeah.
don't go to the gym anymore, right? So I mean, like that's the biggest thing. I always use everything that all my walks of life. Quick story, it was this author, Robert Greene, right? And he has the 48 laws of power,
Hmm.
right? And it's like a super top seller like book, like when it came out. It's probably still doing really good. But I saw this press conference that he did, And he said people were asking him how did you get here? How did you get how are you now? How are you now? Right? Basically, they wanted his makeup. And he was like, you know what? I always had dead end jobs, customer service, hospitality, construction, like everything, right? But he was like, I used all of those experiences to make me stronger. And I took something from every one of those, whether it be in the hospitality field, being kind, being, like just showing assistance, like, all that stuff. I used everything and I formed who I am today. And I took a bit from each field to go into this book, to go into how I treat people and all that stuff, right? So no matter what you do on any level, there's value in everything. There's value in everything you do. And like that kind of is your makeup.
Mark, I literally love that, dude. I mean, everything you do, I say it in the intro to this podcast. I'm going to say it again here. Everything you do has a positive side to it and a learning experience from it. Both. They might not outweigh the negative or whatever, but everything you do, there's a learning experience. Everything you do, there's a positive. And dude, the reason I started this podcast, Mark, was simple. Is because people like you that I respect, that I don't talk to as much as I wish, I wanted to set aside dedicated time for us to chat, not 5 minutes while we're both lifting or whatever, or typing on our keyboard in the middle. And just connect with people and document it for myself, for you, and hopefully for whoever's listening, right? Like, there's some gems in here. I heard from Mark that the whole time Mark was vulnerable, which I'm going to throw some stereotypes in. As a male athlete, that is not easy. I also heard, Mark talking about winning the morning, which god damn, like I wish people would do that. Emma hit me with the most powerful thing today. She's been so busy with work, and she was just like, she's been crushing it. She's been hitting the gym, getting a dinner with me and the family, and then getting her work done. But she hadn't been doing like that extra stuff, right? That inner work, like, she likes to like paint, right? Like spend 30 minutes painting, whatever. She's like, I'm waking up at 4 a.m. tomorrow and give myself 2 hours in the morning. I don't care if I go to bed right after dinner. I need that time in the morning. So vulnerability, win the morning, and everything you do, there's a learning experience in. Mark, that's wisdom, man. I appreciate you sharing it with us.
Oh yeah, bro. Like, I just want to know, how much time do we have left?
As much as you need.
All right, but this is one thing, because I speak from the heart. Because like I said, I'm not the biggest, not the fastest, not the strongest, whatever. I just speak from the heart. That's what I'm really good at, right?
Cool.
So I just want to say this. As well as winning the morning, you got to win the evening, right? Because the evening sets you up for the morning. So all those little things that you want to rush to do in the morning time, hey, waste those couple minutes, that 30-minute hour, and do it at night, because it'll set yourself up for tomorrow. One thing that my dad used to tell me was, and this is kind of like off of that, but one thing he used to tell me was, no matter what you're going through, always keep a good appearance, right? And of course, people will say, well, that's fake. Like, why would I do that? And I'm feeling like crap, right?
Yeah.
But it's not to say that. It's to say, don't let life get you down.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no matter if, you got divorced, no matter if you lost your job, don't let that reflect to the world. You know what I mean? Always stay groomed. Always stay do something in shape. Even when I was down to my lowest point, I was like, I gotta run. Right.
Dude, it's for yourself too, man. I mean, self-image is so important. I love that, Mark, and you are good speaking from the heart, homie. Good catching up as always, man. We're gonna bounce, but until next time.
Green Light Talk. Green Light Talk. I hope all you guys go see Green Light Talk. I'm playing off with my man Sean Greenspan. I love the podcast. Thanks for having me on. This is, I was literally thinking,
Mark's dropping bombs with his brother every day. I'll give you all this content. Post it wherever, Mark.
Yeah.
Green Light Talk TV.
YouTube, Instagram, Green Light Talk TV. But what I was thinking, just one more thing, Sean, before I know we're about to close it, Sean, but one more thing. I'm thinking that I love doing stuff like this, right? Because it makes you slow down and really have like a conversation.
That's the
And I'm
point,
just
bro.
thinking,
We're locked
I'm just
in.
thinking like, damn, dude, I want to like drive up there and just like kick it, right? But I'm like, damn, I got
Yeah.
to do this and that tomorrow, so I can't, right? But thank you for having me on. It was like it was great, bro. Like, to be honest, it was great because we talk different times, different places about different things, but this is something that is connecting. So
Dude,
appreciate it.
it's intentional. You know what I mean? I like you said, we got to slow down, man. Mark's always full of gems. Well, I appreciate it, guys, and until next time.
All right, peace. Thanks for having me.